The Zel'kai Dominion stands as the undisputed ruler of the known galaxy, a vast coalition of advanced alien civilizations united under a rigid but seemingly peaceful hierarchy. For millennia, they have expanded their influence, integrating species into their empire with the promise of stability and progress. Those who resist are swiftly neutralized, for the Dominion sees itself as the caretaker of galactic order, ensuring no species disrupts the delicate balance they have cultivated. To them, the cycle is simple. Lesser civilizations either assimilate or are contained, their autonomy dissolved into the greater whole. It is into this galaxy that humanity has just stepped. The species, having only recently achieved interstellar capability, is a relative newcomer to the cosmic stage. When the Dominion's exploratory fleets first encounter Earth, they assess humans as an adaptable yet unremarkable race, intelligent but primitive in comparison to the elder civilizations that have already fallen in line. Their technological advancements are noted, their cultural complexities cataloged, but ultimately, humans are filed away as another young species destined for peaceful subjugation. To the Dominion, humans are neither a threat nor an anomaly. They are merely another civilization in need of guidance. A formal delegation is dispatched to establish first contact. Their proposal is framed as diplomacy, but the message is clear: submit and integrate into the Dominion, or be contained as a potential disruptor of galactic stability. The offer is accompanied by assurances, technological aid, economic prosperity, protection from external threats, but beneath the veneer of civility lies an unspoken ultimatum. Resistance is not an option. The Dominion has seen countless civilizations accept their place within the hierarchy, and they expect no different from humanity. Enter Captain Elias Vance, commander of the UNS Erebus, a deep space exploratory vessel patrolling the frontier. Vance is a seasoned officer, a man of pragmatism and resolve, fiercely loyal to his crew and to the sovereignty of Earth. When word of the Dominion's offer reaches the Terran Council, Earth's leadership is split. Some argue for peace, seeing integration as a means of survival, while others, including Vance, recognize the veiled threat beneath the diplomatic facade. The stakes are clear. To join the Dominion means surrendering autonomy, becoming another vassal race in a galaxy where humanity will never control its own destiny. The Council's decision is swift but defiant. Humanity will not kneel. The Dominion's response is immediate. They enact a blockade, severing Earth from its colonies and cutting off all off-world communications. The message is unambiguous: surrender or face the consequences. They believe that a show of force will break the humans' will, that they will submit as so many others have before them. They are wrong. Humanity doesn't surrender. Instead, they prepare to show the Dominion exactly what happens when humans are backed into a corner. The Zel'kai delegation arrived in grandeur, descending upon Earth in an obsidian-hulled diplomatic cruiser that cast an imposing shadow over the United Nations headquarters. Their emissaries were tall, bioluminescent beings, their skin subtly shifting in color to indicate their controlled emotions. Clad in ceremonial robes of woven starlight, they radiated the quiet confidence of a species that had never once lost a war. Seated before them were Earth's highest leaders, representatives from every major nation, military commanders, scientific advisors, and key figures from the fledgling United Terran Alliance, UTA. Among them, standing near the back of the room but observing with unshakable intensity, was Captain Elias Vance, present as an advisor for the UTA's Interstellar Division. He studied the alien diplomats carefully, his instincts screaming that this was no mere diplomatic meeting. This was an ultimatum. The lead emissary, High Arbitrator Koreshtal, began with the honeyed words of a seasoned politician. Humanity, we extend to you an unprecedented gift. A chance to join the grand tapestry of civilization under the stewardship of the Zel'kai Dominion. Your species is young, ambitious, and resourceful, qualities we admire. Integration into our Dominion will bring prosperity beyond your imagination, access to technology that will end disease, extend your lifespans, and propel you to new heights. In return, we ask for only one thing: your submission to the Dominion's governance, that we may guide you as we have guided so many before you." The silence that followed was deafening. Many Earth leaders exchanged wary glances. The offer was tantalizing, a promise of peace and unimaginable advancement. But some saw through the gilded words. Submission meant obedience. Sovereignty would be a relic of the past. Humanity would become another servile race, a cog in the great Dominion machine. A heated debate erupted among the human leadership. Some, especially scientists and politicians, advocated for peace, arguing that resisting such a powerful empire would be reckless. Others, particularly military officials and nationalists, rejected the offer outright. "You promise prosperity," one council member challenged, "but what of our freedom? What of our right to govern ourselves?" "Freedom," Koresh Tal said smoothly, "is a construct of lesser species. What use is sovereignty when war, poverty, and destruction plague your kind? Under our rule, humanity will thrive. You will be protected, guided. We offer you paradise. But should you refuse?" He let the silence hang, and everyone in the room understood the threat. Vance leaned forward, his voice cold and even. "And if we don't comply?" Koresh Tal's bioluminescent skin darkened. "Then, Captain Vance, humanity will be contained. For the good of all." That was the moment Earth's fate was sealed. When the final vote was cast, humanity made its decision. "We reject your offer." The Zel'kai delegation left immediately. There was no further negotiation, no second chance. Their retreating cruiser vanished into slip space, and within hours, the Dominion enacted their first response. Massive warships blockaded Earth, forming a vast orbital network of suppression. The entire Sol system was cut off from interstellar communication. Lunar colonies went dark. Martian settlements lost contact. Space stations, once bustling with trade, became isolated prisons. To the Zel'kai, this was not war. It was containment. Humanity would be isolated until they bent the knee. The Dominion miscalculated. They believed that by cutting Earth off, humans would panic, that the economic and technological suffocation would drive them to surrender within weeks. Instead, Earth's response was chillingly simple. A single transmission was sent to the Zel'kai High Command. "We don't surrender." That was the first moment the Zel'kai began to wonder if they had underestimated this species. Days after the blockade, a small skirmish erupted in the asteroid belt between the Dominion's outer patrols and a desperate Terran fleet attempting to break free. A squadron of human corvettes and frigates, outgunned and outclassed, attempted a risky maneuver to disrupt the Dominion's outer blockade and re-establish communications with Mars. The Zel'kai responded with overwhelming force. Their ships tore through the human fleet in minutes. Advanced energy weapons shredded Terran vessels like paper, and within an hour, the remnants of humanity's first interstellar battle lay scattered in the asteroid field, burning husks of metal and broken bodies floating in the void. It was a decisive, crushing defeat. To the Dominion, the battle confirmed their belief. Humans were no threat. Their fleet was primitive, their strategies reckless, their weapons outdated. The Dominion's war analysts concluded that humans would soon realize their inferiority and surrender. They had no idea what was coming, because while the Zel'kai saw a defeated enemy, humanity saw a lesson learned. They would not make the same mistake twice. The war had just begun. The Zel'kai Dominion believed that the destruction of the human patrol fleet in the asteroid belt would be enough. In their long history of galactic dominance, most species surrendered after witnessing such overwhelming firepower. They assumed humans would react the same way. But they were wrong. Instead of despair, the loss only hardened humanity's resolve. The survivors of the Sol blockade, the scientists, engineers, and military strategists, began working together with a singular goal: to make the Dominion regret ever underestimating them. The Zel'kai's military doctrine was built on efficiency and predictability. They had never encountered a race that rejected order so violently. Their fleet commanders relied on precision tactics, overwhelming their enemies with superior technology, disciplined formations, and relentless control of space. Humans, however, were chaos incarnate. When conventional warfare failed, they adapted. First, instead of attempting direct engagements, humanity waged war in a way that no other species had before. They weaponized deception. They turned space into a battlefield of unpredictability. And the Zel'kai were not ready. The first major human counteroffensive came 2 weeks after the Sol blockade was established. A Dominion supply convoy, carrying fuel and reinforcements, disappeared without a trace. At first, the Zel'kai assumed it was an engine malfunction or a navigation error. But when another patrol fleet vanished under similar circumstances, they realized something was wrong. The cause? Stealth drift missile barges. Human engineers had repurposed old cargo freighters, loading them with nuclear warheads, disguising them as debris, and leaving them to drift through space. When Dominion ships passed by, the hidden missiles activated silently, homing in on their targets. Within a month, the blockade that had once suffocated Earth was fracturing. The Zel'kai fleet commanders quickly realized that traditional war tactics did not work against humans. Every advance was met with ambushes, deception, and brutality. Sabotage teams infiltrated enemy supply routes, crippling key warships. AI viruses infected Dominion command networks, turning their own defenses against them. Suicidal assault teams hijacked enemy vessels and turned them into makeshift torpedoes, crashing them into fleet formations. Zel'kai officers, trained in precise, logical engagements, could not comprehend this level of madness. For the first time in their empire's history, they faced an enemy that refused to fight by the rules. And it terrified them. As months passed, the war shifted. The Zel'kai, expecting a short and decisive conquest, found themselves bogged down in a prolonged conflict. Humanity refused to surrender. Instead of open battles, they turned every engagement into a slow, grinding war of attrition. A fleet commander named Vereshkot, one of the Dominion's most respected strategists, was the first to voice concern. "We cannot fight them the way we fought the others," he warned. "They are not like any species we have encountered. They do not seek honor. They do not seek peace. They fight with a desperation I have never seen. They do not fear death. They fear defeat." His warnings were ignored. The Dominion, unwilling to admit weakness, doubled down. They prepared a full-scale planetary invasion of Mars, believing that if they crushed the colonies, humanity's will would finally break. They had no idea they were walking into a death trap. The Zel'kai Armada, a fleet of nearly 300 warships and 50,000 ground forces, descended upon Mars. They expected an easy battle. After all, humans had never successfully defended a planet from orbital invasion before. They assumed their superior firepower would overwhelm the colonies within a day. Instead, they found hell. The moment they landed, the Martian Defense Forces activated a planet-wide EMP burst, blinding enemy sensors and crippling their targeting systems. Then the ground war began. The Zel'kai landed in well-formed ranks, expecting organized resistance. Instead, they were met with scorched earth tactics, guerrilla ambushes, and terrain that turned every colony into a fortress. Human snipers took out Dominion officers with precision shots from kilometers away. AI-controlled drones swarmed their landing zones, detonating explosive payloads that tore through enemy formations. Civilians refused to be bystanders. Engineers rigged pipelines into makeshift flame corridors, incinerating entire squads. Medical personnel booby-trapped hospitals, luring enemy soldiers into death traps. A single human commando team, infiltrating a Dominion supply station, hacked their own orbital bombardment system, redirecting the fleet's fire onto their own ground forces. The battle lasted 7 days. By the end, 80% of the Zel'kai invasion force was dead. Mars, though devastated, remained in human hands. It was the first major victory for humanity. And for the first time, the Dominion truly feared them. Humans had made one thing clear: they would not go down easily. But the Zel'kai High Council refused to accept defeat. Instead, they escalated. They decided to break humanity the only way they knew how, by targeting Earth directly. But humanity had one last weapon, a weapon that would make the entire galaxy question their very existence. The classified project, known only as Ashfall. A weapon that would change the war forever. A weapon the Zel'kai could never have imagined. Because while other species feared death, humans feared extinction, and they would do anything to survive. The Zel'kai Dominion had come to a single conclusion: Earth had to fall. The failure of the Mars campaign had shaken them, but the High Council refused to accept that humanity could stand against them. Their fleet commanders assured them that the Terran resistance was unsustainable, that humanity's use of guerrilla warfare, deception, and desperation tactics were mere delaying measures. They were wrong. Instead of crumbling, humanity had become more dangerous. And now, with the Dominion preparing for an all-out planetary assault, humanity was about to reveal its final weapon. A weapon that would forever change the galaxy. A weapon called Project Ashfall. The Zel'kai Armada, the largest fleet ever assembled against a single enemy, moved into high orbit over Earth. Over 500 warships, including planetary siege carriers, ion disruptor platforms, and ground invasion transports. Millions of troops, trained in planetary subjugation, prepared to descend upon every major human city. Terraforming weapons, capable of reshaping entire ecosystems, were primed to render Earth unrecognizable. The Zel'kai believed this would be swift, that humanity's final defenses would break under the sheer magnitude of the invasion. But something was wrong. As the Dominion fleet entered orbit, Earth's defenses were silent. No desprit fleet formations. No last-stand battlecruisers. Not a single visible planetary defense system activated. To the Zel'kai, this made no sense. Where is their resistance? High Commander Vanishing asked, watching the screens. Perhaps they have accepted their fate, one of his subordinates suggested. Vanishing doubted that. And then they found out the truth. For years, humanity had been working on a classified project hidden beneath the Arctic ice, in a remote facility deep below Greenland. A project that would ensure that if humanity could not survive, their enemies wouldn't either. Project Ashfall wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was an extinction trigger, a self-replicating nanite cloud, capable of breaking down all advanced technology in an instant. A virus that would reduce starships, weapons, and even entire planetary infrastructure into raw, useless matter. A weapon designed not to win a war, but to ensure that no one would ever threaten Earth again. The moment the Dominion fleet arrived, Project Ashfall was activated. Within seconds, the Zel'kai ships began falling apart. Hull plating turned to dust. Energy shields flickered and collapsed. Weapons systems shut down as their internal circuits dissolved into nothingness. Entire warships, once symbols of unstoppable power, drifted lifelessly in orbit. The Dominion's invasion force was neutralized before it even began. And the horror didn't stop there. The nanite swarm spread. Dominion colonies across the Sol system began experiencing complete technological failure. Starbases fell out of orbit. War machines crumbled into metallic sand. Vanishing, aboard his flagship, watched in stunned silence as the mighty Zel'kai fleet disintegrated before his eyes. For the first time in the history of the Dominion, a single species had crippled them without firing a single shot. The galaxy would never be the same. With their war machine disabled, the Zel'kai lost control of the galaxy. Vassal races rebelled, emboldened by humanity's victory. Dominion supply lines collapsed, their reliance on technology making them vulnerable. The High Council, in desperation, offered peace. But humanity did not accept. Not yet, because for the first time in history, the conquerors were at the mercy of the conquered. The question was, what would humanity do next? With Earth victorious, the Terran Council faced a choice. They could use Project Ashfall to destroy the Dominion completely, reduce their empire to primitive ruins, ensuring humanity would never be threatened again. Or they could show mercy, accept the surrender, and forge a new galactic order, one where humanity was not just another race, but a dominant force. Captain Elias Vance stood at the heart of this decision. His advisors urged him to wipe the Zel'kai out, to ensure that their empire would never recover. But as he watched the remnants of their once great fleet crumble, he saw something else. Fear. Not the fear of a soldier in battle, not the fear of losing a war, but the existential terror of a species realizing it had made a mistake too big to fix. Vance gave the final order. Cease the nanite spread. Let them surrender. And with that, the war ended. The Dominion surrendered. Humanity had proven that it was not just another race to be conquered. It was a force of nature. In the aftermath, the Zel'kai High Council was dismantled, replaced with a new coalition where humans had a seat at the table. The Dominion's military was crippled, forced into disarmament. Humanity became a symbol of defiance, its reputation etched into the history of the galaxy. But the galaxy had changed, because now every species knew the truth. You do not provoke humanity, because if you do, you won't live to regret it. The war was over. The Zel'kai Dominion, once the supreme power in the galaxy, had surrendered to humanity, a species they had once dismissed as insignificant. But victory came with consequences. The use of Project Ashfall had changed the balance of power forever. Humanity had not just won the war. They had shattered the illusion that the Dominion was untouchable. And now, as the galaxy struggled to adapt, Earth had to decide, what kind of future would humanity create? The Zel'kai High Council, once the most powerful governing body in known space, was no more. In its place, the Galactic Accord was formed, a coalition where humanity now held a dominant seat. The former Dominion fleets were disarmed, their warships dismantled or repurposed. Many of the alien species that had once served the Dominion were now free, some grateful to humanity, others fearful of what they had unleashed. For the first time in history, the conquerors were no longer in control, and the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Despite their victory, not all humans saw Project Ashfall as a triumph. Many within the Terran Council, and even among humanity's allies, questioned the ethics of using a technology so devastating. Had humanity gone too far? Had they become something worse than the Dominion? Captain Elias Vance, the man who had made the final call, found himself at the center of a heated debate. Some hailed him as a hero, the man who had saved humanity from extinction. Others called him a monster, the man who had unleashed a weapon of genocide. Vance himself did not know the answer. He had done what he thought was necessary. But at what cost? With the Dominion's collapse, humanity had become the most feared species in the galaxy. But Earth did not seek conquest. Instead, they proposed a new system of governance, one where no single species held absolute power. A council of races, where humanity would be one voice among many. The Galactic Accord was founded on 3 principles. No species shall rule over another. No empire shall be built through force. No weapon like Project Ashfall shall ever be used again. It was an idealistic vision, but not all agreed with it. Many of the former Dominion races resented humanity, seeing them as just another conqueror wearing a different mask. And in the shadows, new enemies began to rise. Earth had won the war, but the scars remained. Entire fleets were lost. Millions of lives had been sacrificed. Mars was devastated, its colonies barely surviving. Humanity had changed, and not for the better. For the first time in history, humanity was no longer the underdog. They were the ones others feared. And as Captain Vance looked out over the ruined remnants of the Dominion fleet, he wondered, had humanity saved itself? Or had it become something else entirely? As the Terran Council debated humanity's future, a final decision had to be made. Would they keep Project Ashfall, knowing it was the ultimate deterrent, or would they destroy it, proving to the galaxy that they would never use such a weapon again? The vote was narrow, and in the end, Earth chose mercy. The Ashfall Project was dismantled, its nanite technology erased, ensuring it could never be used again. Humanity had proven its strength, but now they had to prove their wisdom. As the first meeting of the Galactic Accord convened, Captain Elias Vance prepared to leave for his next mission. The war was over, but the real challenge, creating a lasting peace, had only just begun. And in the darkness beyond known space, something watched. Something older than the Dominion. Something that had remained silent until now. They survived. Perhaps they are worthy. It is time. And with that, a new story began.